At our last update, we were talking about the shaping of the canopy so that we could install it. And since then, we have actually installed it. So installing the canopy involves, obviously setting it on the canopy frame and then installing rivets in the forward edge, like you see there. And then there's several screws that go along the back edge, along this back frame roll bar. And those have all been installed, along with also installing the two side skirts. So these are the canopy skirts, and they require a row of rivets on the lower end and then a row of screws on the upper end. The screws are what actually go into the canopy itself, or go through the canopy. The rivets are what hold the skirt onto the frame itself. So that work has all been completed, and as you can see, we're in the process now of doing some masking for the final major construction activity for this project, for us anyway, which is creating the fiberglass fairing for the front of the canopy. Before I get too far into that, just briefly mention that we also had work that we've completed related to the lower cowl. The last bit of work that we had to do on the lower cowling was to install the cooling baffle, which goes from this large opening in the front around the pilot side of the lower fairing, and to the back where the radiator is. So we've installed the oil cooler and this installed the seal that goes around the radiator. So this lower cowl work is now complete. So what I started to mention before was the creating the fairing that goes on the front of the canopy. So Vans gives you these full-scale templates that you use to do your layout. And so this is an example of one of the templates. It shows you, it's a masking and a glass fabric ply template. So the idea here is that you lay it on, and they give you some guides. So these two rivets actually fit through the side skirt, and rivet holes there, and then there's some additional rivets here that you can use for alignment. And once you get it set in place, you just tack it in place with a few pieces of tape, and the idea then is to lay out your masking lines with this electrical tape that goes around. So you have one for each side, and then you just you project the line across the upper fuselage and the canopy to create your masking. And so the next step for us is actually to start doing the fiberglass work. We'll have to cut our fiberglass pieces using this template, and then start mixing up some resin and laying the fiberglass down. Okay, with the canopy, part of the installation beyond just mounting the canopy and getting screws through it is actually installing this seal that goes between the back roll bar on the canopy and the airframe roll bar. So you can see that there's a strip of aluminum that goes across, and it gets wedged under these screws and nuts, and you tighten that in place, and then that pinches and holds the seal in place. So in addition to that, we also installed the canopy latch itself. Obviously that's what you use to lock the canopy down. And it also has a feature for when you're taxiing, you can partially open the canopy and lock it in a partially open position as well. Okay, so once we're done with our installing the canopy fairing, the next step for us is going to be actually getting the engine ready for start. And for that, obviously we need to put oil in the engine, also put the water coolant, and something else that we're going to do is we've hired a mechanic to come in and open up the gearbox for us. Since this engine is brand new, but it's been sitting around for 5 years, we want to make sure that there's no issues with corrosion in the gearbox or the internals of the engine. So the mechanic we've hired is going to come out, open up the gearbox, inspect it, then reassemble it. After that, assuming there's no issues there with the oil in the engine, we'll be able to do the oil purge procedure, and then at that point it would be ready to start. So that would be a first start for this engine, and at first start we'll also have our mechanic do the carburetor tuning to make sure that we have both carburetors tuned and balanced. And after that, then we would be ready for planning our airworthiness certification, and then thinking about and planning for our first flight.